So, hi everyone, this is Devleena welcoming you all to another exciting episode of Iconic Ads with Devleena and Saurabh. With me, I have my expert co host, Mr. Saurabh Bajaj. Hi, Saurabh.
Hi. Hi guys.
Hi, welcome here once again. And I'm happy to announce our guest for today, Mr. Abhijit Shetty, who is a VP of Brand Strategy and Planning at McCain. Welcome to
Hi everyone. Hi dude.
Hi.
Hey.
So, before we start about the iconic campaign, which is really iconic, I'm so excited about it. So, would love to know about you, Abhijit, as a person, about your background and about your association with Amazon.
Right. So my name is Abhijit Shetty. So I work in mostly ad agencies in my advertising and marketing career. Well, actually, I was a software engineer for a couple of years, and then I took the turn into advertising and marketing. Spent time at Leo Burnett, Lolintas, Dentsu, and now McCann. In between, I also had like a year and a half stint at the client side. I used to head marketing for an tech company. That's me. So I think I've got about 12 odd years of experience in marketing and advertising. Now, my association, the answer to your pointed question, what is my relationship with Amazon? It was in a client agency role, right? So Leo Burnett has a sister agency called Orchard, and I was based out of Orchard, Bangalore for a couple of years. That's when we pitched for Amazon, and then that's when we won the business. And that is the association, right? We were the ad agency and Amazon was the client, right? And that's how we worked on this campaign that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, right?
I'm excited about the campaign itself because it's some time back and it was pretty exciting and pretty successful campaign from Amazon. So yeah, it's a or Dikhao campaign. So can you talk a little bit about overview about that campaign?
Yeah, so I think about 2014 or 15, Amazon came into India, and that time e-commerce was already there, right? You had two brands, you had Snapdeal and Flipkart that were already here, and Flipkart, of course, was the big boy ruling the roost. Amazon, of course, I would say kind of beat the competition hands down when it comes to certain things. They were, of course, the world leaders, they were the pioneers in e-commerce, but they were not the first in India, right?
Yeah.
They believe that they've got an extensive range, and that is true. Of course, they had like apparently more than 2 crore plus products. I'm sure it's a lot more now, but I'm talking about in 2014 or something. That was their singular pitch point, right? They wanted to basically come and say, you know what, we are the store that has the largest selection on offer, right? So the objective was basically that. Of course, objective number one was to create awareness because not many people in India knew what Amazon was. Objective number two was to tell consumers that Amazon has got the widest range, right? But I think the bigger objective was they were fighting a homegrown brand called Flipkart, right? And Flipkart was a homegrown brand. It had been around for a while, and there was a lot of public Indians felt a sort of kinship, so to speak, with Flipkart. Let me give you an example, right? I think just a few months earlier, just a year before, Flipkart did something called the Big Billion Day, right? That was the first time they did Big Billion Day.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's become an annual property. But the first time ever they did Big Billion Day, everybody was like, wow, this is such a cool, amazing thing to happen and all of that. But then it was all going on the day of the Big Billion Day, on the day of the sale, a whole lot of exciting stuff was happening. People were buying stuff left, right, and center. And then the servers got overwhelmed, right? And beyond a point, you couldn't log in, servers were crashing, people were disappointed, etc., etc. So what started off amazingly, towards the end, it ran into a few problems because of technical issues, right? But all it took, and customers were very up in arms. Customers like, I didn't get my product, I couldn't place an order, blah, 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 and all of that. A lot of social media furor happened. But all it took was a letter from the Bansals, the founders. They basically sent out an emailer and said, look, sorry that this screw up happened, but we have done it with the best of intent. We are your boys, please support us. ऐसा कुछ करके they did a nice, very well written letter, and that was received very well from the Indian public. The point I'm trying to make here is that even in the face of a massive screw up, Indians were very forgiving because at the end of the day, Flipkart was the pioneer when it comes to e-commerce in India, right? And of course, now today, startup unicorns and all are old hat. A lot of people are there. But back in the day, the Bansals were people who were really looked up to, right? I mean,
Right.
two guys who came and replicated the e-commerce model in India. So that was the reality that Amazon was staring at, right? Amazon was coming into a market where there was a well-entrenched player, local Indian boy, so to speak. And here is Amazon, which is a Gora brand, so to speak. It's an American brand coming in and trying to make a mark. So
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest challenge. So they came and said, look, we have to drive awareness. We have to drive the fact that we've got largest selection, but also we had to connect with Indian consumers, right? Right now, they don't have any association. They don't have any connect with Amazon. Amazon is still seen as a Firang brand. That's the biggest challenge, to come and connect with Indians like an Indian company. I think overall that was the context. And then of course, that's just the context. Then of course the campaign happened and the rest, as they say, is history.
No, I think that the initial years especially were really interesting. In fact, 3, 4, 5 years of the Big Billion Day, I think every year I would, wait for Big Billion Day and virtually, defer my year's purchases because my birthday also comes in September.
Super.
So it's just right, October, 1 month later is going to come. So whether it's a new mobile phone or an iWatch or whatever, it was like your reason to splurge. And I have a good friend who works in Amazon. Fortunately, with him, I keep saying Big Billion Day and he's not very happy about it. He's like, you mean the Great Indian Sale?
Great Indians.
Exactly. And then the Great Indian Sale happened.
Even if like Amazon entered in the Indian market as, American e-commerce brand, but they have Indianized it very well with Or Dikhao campaign. It was very connected to the...
Of course, we are very proud of the fact that, in a professional capacity, we have been associated with a truly iconic campaign. Because if you look at it, I think this campaign is about 6 years old.
Yeah.
But, and Saurabh would agree that, marketing and advertising folks are guilty of patting themselves on their back saying, "Arey, bahut badhiya campaign kiya." But the guy on the street doesn't know, right? But here, truly, this is one of those campaigns where most people even today remember. If you just go and say "Or Dikhao," most people will still get it, despite the campaign being so old. It's like actually an iconic ad.
हाँ ठीक है.
आज करवा चौथ है.
हेलो तो ठीक है. टेडी बेयर ड्रेस, शूज, हैंडबैग, परफ्यूम, वॉच, ज्वेलरी. बीवी जब भी ऑप्शन मांगे, एक्सपेक्टेशन छत पे टांगे, रूठी है तो ऑप्शन से उसका मन लल जाओ. बेटर से बढ़ के बेस्ट को तोलो, ओके को भी खूब टटोलो. हिंदुस्तानी दिल कहता है और दिखाओ और दिखाओ.
ढोकला, थेपला, खाकरा, फाफड़ा, मुठियाँ, मठियाँ, चूड़ों, गाठियाँ. भूख का सायरन जहाँ बजा, बस वही बड़ी सी बुफे लगा दो. हिंदुस्तानी पेट पुकारे.
और दिखाओ और दिखाओ.
सल्लू, ऋतिक, शाहिद, आमिर, शाहरुख, जितने सुपरस्टार हैं सबकी नकल हमें करके दिखलाओ. हिंदुस्तानी दर्शक बोले, ओ पुत्र और दिखाओ.
जन्म सिद्ध अधिकार है चुनना, कम में सेटल न होना मुन्ना. हिंदुस्तानी दिल कहता है और दिखाओ और दिखाओ.
स्ट्रॉबेरी, ब्लूबेरी, मस्त बनाना, खट्टी चेरी, कूल वनीला, पोमेग्रेनेट, चॉकलेट, लीची, रसीला.
और दिखाओ.
सास बहू और फैमिली के कॉम्बिनेशन लाख बनाओ. हिंदुस्तानी दर्शक बोले
और दिखाओ. बॉब कट, ग्रुप कट, बस कट, रेजर कट, बिजनेस कट, बैंक कट, हीरो कट, शॉर्ट कट, पावर कट. वनडे हो या 2020, हर एक मैच पे चंदा सेंटी. काम काज सब छोड़ के बस टीवी में घुस जाओ. और दिखाओ अपना नारा और दिखाओ. हिंदुस्तानी दिल कहता है और दिखाओ.
अब Amazon ऐप डाउनलोड कीजिए और बरकरार रखिए चुनने का मजा.
और दिखाओ.
Yeah, it has covered almost all dimensions, like from kids to older generation,
And
I think all the religions.
the advertising of this category also is, this is again a classic way that advertising in this category works, right? I mean, where there's a lot of cross branding, like even in the case of Or Dikhao, right? Now what we saw right now is a thematic TV campaign, but if you look at the print ads, it still has got codes of retail. I mean to say, एक retail campaign में ना stuff दिखना चाहिए, items should be visible. I need to see, like if you look at the Vijay sales ads, for example, or Pi International के ads ले लो, और Chroma का full page ad देख लो, you'll have microwaves, you'll have TV, you'll have refrigerators. there's a Starburst that talks about TVs at this much, is at this much, etc., etc. Even the print ads over here, of course, there was an Aur Dikhao line, but the print ad had a whole lot of products. It actually was led by products saying ye hai, etc., etc. Right? So even our print ads had other brands ka products, because at the end of the day,
Right.
Amazon is a marketplace, right? Again, it speaks about the codes of the category, is what I was saying. Also, like you guys noticed and were appreciating, it's very slice off, right? I mean, it's not very fantastic. You see tourists outside Qutub Minar, you see people at a shop, you see one child who's doing this dance. Now that I'm a parent, I've begun to connect more with these father-child sort of a relationship, where even I keep doing that. Acha, sing a song for the guests, dance a little thing for the guests, etc., etc. So these little slice of life moments are also very nice. I think it's not just set in the shopping context. It is just telling that Indians aise hi hai. They just want to see more and more options. That's generally the truth about life when it comes to India, right?
So tell me, it's rare to find consumer-facing insight, like which is so true of Indians or the consumer, and also tied to a very functional brand task. Like, we were talking about range, is a typically a very functional brand task, right? So what was the journey? Like, how did you guys get the brief? Did you guys, push back and said, "Ki boss, range is fine, but let's talk about something else also." How did that whole journey pan out, from briefing stage to arriving at how are you going to uncover it and all that?
Right. My answer might seem very flat. My answer might seem very unextraordinary. An inspiration or an idea can come from anywhere or anyone, right? This is actually one of those things, right? Of course, the brief was what I told you, like awareness increase karna hai, this is the USP, etc., etc. There was no pushback, but we started brainstorming in the sense that yes, range is a great USP to have, but at the end of the day, can we find a consumer benefit? What's in it for the consumer? Of course, what's in it for the consumer is he's got a plethora of options to choose from. But can we go down that road and try to arrive at what is a greater, more sticky consumer benefit than just saying range, right? So, of course, consumer researches were all happening and all of that. But the short answer is, we were just sitting. It was a normal brainstorming session. And I think one thing led to another, where people said, "Arey, range and all is great, but is there a different way of saying it? What happens if there's infinite range?" And some smart dude in the room basically said that, if there's unlimited range, I can keep shopping to my heart's content. I said, okay, that's of course, hey. But then beyond that, what? Beyond that, even if I get, I think that was the penny drop. Even if I get the thing that I am really looking for, just because there is so much, I can keep looking at more options until my heart's content. And keep in mind that this is e-commerce. You can't do this in a store, right? You can't do window shopping beyond a certain point in a Chroma or in a shopper stop, right? Because after 10-15 minutes, the sales staff will give you looks, right? You can't keep saying, "Ye bhi dikhao, main ye tried karta," etc., etc. Beyond a point, you have to buy some stuff. I mean, there is a certain level of guilt that happens. Ki, I'm wasting their time. It's a little embarrassing for me. The good thing about e-commerce is that there's no one to judge you, right? You can keep looking at options, you can keep checking out stuff over and over and over again. So I think the conversation eventually led down that path. It's again like content, right? It's like unlimited content. I can keep browsing stuff to my heart's content, even if I've actually found the piece of item that I'm looking for. And like I said, that was a penny drop. And someone else said, "Arey, haan, jaise India mein bolte na, I mean, aur dikhao." I mean, the line essentially came out like that. Yeah.
The other ad which this ad reminds me of is that Maruti's kitna deti hai.
Exactly.
So, were there any parallels drawn to that ad in any, discussion, this thing? Because it is also, in that sense, very, that a whole Indian insight, hum to aise hi hai types,
Hum to aise hi hai, barabar. Now that you mention it, I guess that, because by very nature, this is so much, it's just a colloquial phrase that we all use every now and then. I think references to that were also brought, and which is why, see, there was no mulling over this idea beyond a point. Get what I'm saying? This is again one of those things, like it was like a light bulb moment. When it went off, people
Yes,
said, "Oh, wow, this is it. There was no back and forth. Of course, there were back and forth when it came to the actual scripts, storylines and all of that. But the central idea was something that as soon as we stumbled upon it, we're like, "Boss, this is it," right? And your Maruti example, I think, was also spoken about. Ki this has parallels to that in the sense that this is hum to aise hi hai, like you said. Yeah, and I go back to the point I was making earlier. Media distribution and all of that also really help matters for this campaign, because what we are talking about right now is still mainline campaign. Of course, ATL, a whole lot of stuff happened. You had print, you had outdoor, you had radio, you had digital cuts, you have etc. Of course, you have digital long 2-minute films. You've got sector-specific films, like I was talking about. Apart from that, a whole lot of other things were also done. Let me give you a very interesting example, right? If you go to Amazon, as you scroll down the page, there is a button, or there is one thing that says next or show more. I think some button like that is there. It's there even today. These guys replace that button to Aur Dikhao, just for the duration of the campaign. Like
Just
on the Amazon
Good
website,
call.
there's a button that became Aur Dikhao. And that's a little interesting thing that they did. Just to give one example. Then of course IPL was on, and a whole lot of cross promotions happened with IPL. Match analysis ke time mein, there are these hosts who are also talking about Aur Dikhao. There was I think a collaboration with the dance program called I think it was Dance India Dance, I don't remember. But basically even the judges kept saying Aur Dikhao during the show. During IPL matches, the cheerleaders were dancing to the tune of Aur Dikhao, you know. So that way, a whole lot of interesting things were done apart from just mainline communications. I think, like I was saying earlier, it was everything falling into place to make this a resounding success, right?
So the question which is there in my head was on the music. It's a nice melodious tune. Looks quite crafted for the campaign. It's not that it was, I picked up something else. And also looks a little similar to a lot of Amazon ad tonality. I mean, the one which look a little more vernacular kind of a look and feel to it. I think it does feel a little like that, that little bit of tongue-in-cheek, yet, mass kind of a thing.
Because again, like I was saying, the central objective also was to Indianize the product as much as possible, and therefore us doing a very urban metro English probably would not have worked, because it's an Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So this was not a premiumization strategy. This was a going a little more vernacular, and they continued with that. I think even today, untapped market for e-commerce guys is still the tier 2, tier 3 towns now. And if you look at e-commerce advertising, even today they're talking about stuff like cash on delivery. A promise that happened back in 10 years back.
Yeah.
Now we are all used to cash on delivery and all that, right? But in the tier 2, tier 3 markets, that is still a big factor. Cash on delivery or genuine product milta hai, jaldi milta hai. It's still the same USPs, so to speak, right? So I think this was also it is foundational in that sense, because it started doing steps in the right direction, taking steps in the right direction. Thoda vernacular tha, thoda mass connect already built in tha. And therefore, after that, till date, whatever Amazon has done is in the same space of thoda vernacular, thoda relatable, I think a lot of Amazon campaigns are very massy, they're very Indian, they're very Hindi, they're very regional, and I think that's
Very
also
relevant.
yeah, very
So can we
relatable.
play this Apni Dukaan?
पापा ऑनलाइन मंगा
ऑनलाइन में झिक है
चिक 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 नहीं क्लिक 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 अपनी दुकान पापा अपनी दुकान Amazon है ना अपनी दुकान
डील करे आजा डन हनी चूज कर क्या है तेरा मन हनी अपनी दुकान बेबी अपनी दुकान
दादाजी कर लो फुल इत्मीनान ओरिजिनल यहाँ है सब सामान अपनी दुकान दादा अपनी दुकान
सेम सेम डबल डबल मिस्टेक नानी लौटा दो एक विद नो परेशानी
अपनी दुकान हाजी अपनी दुकान Amazon है भाई अपनी दुकान
अपना भरोसा अपनी दुकान अभी Amazon ऐप डाउनलोड करें
It's a very warm and fuzzy. I mean, the tone is very affectionate, warm and fuzzy.
Absolutely. And even today, right, if at least for me, if I close my eyes and say, I mean, honestly, it's come to a point where there's no real loyalty between Amazon and Flipkart for most of us. We just go deal hunting at the end of the day. But in terms of a brand world, I think Flipkart is still little English speaking, little suave, little modern, whereas Amazon is still very, and that's the irony. Amazon is the non-desi brand, but Amazon is still very desi. Their sale festival is called the Great Indian Sale, right? The Great Indian Festival. I think no, this is definitely by design, right? And they've tried to connect a lot. So after Aur Dikhao also, while the awareness numbers had gone up, I think they were still struggling a little bit with people actually coming and transacting on the platform, right? They would probably come and check out stuff, but still they would not buy as much as they wanted to. And so this was more geared towards changing that consumer behavior. And therefore, every now and then it says, this is how you click this style and shop on Amazon. So it's trying to drive the intention and therefore the purchase, and not just awareness. Whereas probably the previous campaign was about awareness. This is more about getting people to actually consider and purchase of the platform, right? Very, very interesting.
What I find interesting, however, is that, for example, I am a little partial towards Amazon. And the reason why I am partial towards Amazon, and that has probably changed. So, like, when I started, I was probably more partial towards Flipkart. And over time, I moved towards Amazon. It is basically because of the customer service. Flipkart initially gave me quick delivery, but I think I would have had some hassle with regards to returning a product or whatever. While in the case of Amazon, because they probably have deeper pocket, they have been a little easier with regards to, we might make a loss, but we will serve you right, kind of a thing.
Correct. And also, I'm guessing it's habit, no? This is all very habit forming. Like, you are used to ordering food off Swiggy, you don't really go to Zomato. It's just automatic, right? So maybe that's the thing.
Yeah, but then I think there is still something to that brand. I don't know what it is. For example, I am biased towards an Uber because maybe of the app experience. I just find the app experience very comfortable. Even though I might end up using Ola more often because I might get cars easily. The only thing which I do deal hunting now is the price, because now the price have become double, right? So till the time I think the price doesn't enter the equation, I think there's still a rudiment of brand proclivity. Because, for example, I might start with Amazon, but then price is key, so you will still keep an eye on the side, saying that I hope I'm not missing out something big. Especially when it comes to these big billion days and all of that,
True, you're right. But I think the montage in this case worked because they had another creative device that achieved cut through, which is the audio, which is the song and dance, which is the Aur Dikhao, right? That was the constant, and therefore your visuals could change. And again, going back to their agenda of being very Indian, like Devleena also pointed out earlier, the whole point over here is to show the entire strata of Indians. No matter who you are, no matter how you shop, Amazon is the place for you. And I guess that's why probably montage has worked for them. Of course, we conceptualized the ad for them, but the thinking was essentially this, that if you have to show that this is an Indian product for Indians, then you show as many Indians possible. And therefore, the films look like.
But tell me otherwise, in terms of, so in this case as well, did there any scores which will progressively improve? Was the business impact better in this versus the other, and so on and so forth?
After the second campaign, after your Apni Dukaan? Progressively the website started, it was a confluence of multiple factors, right? It will be wrong to say that just because of the campaign it worked. They also did a whole lot of category reshuffling. They did their job of stocking or displaying products. They understood Indian consumer behavior better. So the website also was getting adaptive like that. So over a period of time, of course, Amazon, the traffic started increasing, the GMV, the gross merchandise value, that also started increasing on the website. And it came to a point where, the lay person on the street from a place of not knowing what Amazon has gone to a place where today Amazon and Flipkart are equal in terms of choice, right? I'd either go to Flipkart or I'll go to Amazon. And all of these campaigns have definitely played a part in doing that.
So like in the previous one, they had a little bit of quirkiness of Aur Dikhao in the bottom, right, in the scroll bar. Is there anything else which is significantly done on the website to, along with this campaign, which also helped the business delivery? In the lines of the proposition of Apni Dukaan.
Of course, they had the usual, adapts on the other sorts of media and digital and all of that, right? I think they also had like an in-program integration, but nothing like that. I don't think they did anything on the website per se, if that's your point. Okay, thank you guys for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Abhijit. So yes, Saurabh, how's the conversation and what are the 3 takeaways from this conversation for our viewers?
So very exciting one, Devleena. And what I was happy is that we picked up a brand which is so much a part of our lives today. And what's really exciting about this campaign is because these are the campaigns that probably made it happen. Yeah. And how they made it happen is really important. And that's what our 3 learnings are. The first learning is the fact that every brand out there has a particular imagery that it wants to create. And Amazon wanted to drive localization, wanted to become a part of the Indian ecosystem in the world around us. And I think localization is something which is done really well by the use of music, by the use of mnemonics, by the use of the actors themselves. The second thing which I feel which is very, very important in this kind of a category is the fact that education is key. There is no sense having a lovely campaign or a lovely brand, but unless it drives behavior, it drives something that teaches me how to do it, I think that it doesn't work. And the second ad specifically does a great job of trying to drive education, right? And that education is what becomes muscle memory after a while. Yeah. Third is the fact that, if you want to have an insight that feels very relevant, we have to go into colloquial usage. And the whole colloquial usage of, kitna, or Dikhao. I think that is what drove the enjoyability, made this ad a fun watch, because it was able to pick up something which the consumer will all relate to and say, you know what, yeah, I think I'm a little bit like this, right? So I think driving the right localization strategy, driving the right colloquial, consumer strategy and education along with the same time, I think are the 3 things that this campaign did well, and probably is what helped the journey of e-commerce as platform to evolve to what they are.
Now, these are very important and key insights and takeaways, Saurabh, and thank you for constantly sharing those learnings with us and our audiences here. So I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and these are the takeaways for me as well. So thank you.
Great.
For being here.
Yeah, looking forward to next time.
Yes. So thank you, everyone.